Welcome to a deep dive of Don't Let the Old Man In, a series where we release 3 episodes a week for 3 weeks over December and January. Highlights of the previous series. Enjoy.
I do love that saying about marriage, which is like a good marriage is when you both think you're getting the better half of the deal.
Mm-hmm.
And that's how I feel, and I think that's how she feels as well. Like we're both getting a pretty good deal out of this. It
Yeah,
feels like
yeah,
good for both of us. And even when we disagree, or like I get Marcella to edit my stuff, and she's this ruthless editor. It's like taking a red pen and plunging it repeatedly through my heart.
yeah, yeah,
Um, you know, I don't doubt that she doesn't have my best interests at heart as the
yeah,
motivator for what she's doing and what she's saying.
yeah,
Sometimes I disagree with therefore how it's being expressed,
yeah.
but I'm like I know the motivation, and the motivation is always great.
I love what you said there about 30 years, 22 were great, and
Yeah,
that's
whatever. Yeah,
7. Because when you're on the other side of 30,
yeah,
yeah, and you look back and you realize, of course, it can't be perfect 30 years,
yeah,
but you've also come through the 7 and you're on the other side of that,
yeah.
right? My wife Carol and I have gone through some stuff recently, but last week we just went to each other, oh, you're back, right?
Oh,
And she said, and so are you.
yeah,
You're
yeah,
both back, right?
yeah, yeah.
Which is a great place to be on the other side,
It
right?
is.
But as you're going through the tough parts,
Yeah,
it's you just don't know that you can get there, right?
yeah.
But you have to go through it.
You have to go through it.
And I
Yeah.
love what you said about if you believe you're getting the better half, then you're probably more willing to lean in and give back.
I mean, I think if you've somehow created a relationship with no conflict in it, you probably haven't understood the brief.
Mhm.
You know, part of why you end up having conflict is A, it's impossible to go through life without stepping on toes or misunderstanding, or, you know, being waking up hangry one day and being snippy or whatever it might be. And so, it's that kind of sense of you give the other person grace, going, oh, they're having a bad day, or they're triggered by something, or they're anxious, or they're wound up, or whatever. Just the benefit of having somebody who is a companion to your in your life. It's like it's worth the occasional regular minor irritations.
Yeah.
Like, God damn it, Marcel, if you're listening to this, when will you learn how to stack a dish rack properly? Honestly, how
You
hard
suffer from
how
your
hard
age, are you, Michael?
how hard is it to put dishes in a dish rack so that they actually drain properly?
Yeah.
For Marcella, it's like an impossibility. It's
Right.
like this is something she will never master in her entire life, and I'm
Yeah.
like still vaguely
You've learned to
enraged.
accept that now, or at least tolerate it.
Yeah, yeah, exactly.
Which brings me to a book that we haven't discussed yet today. That's The Advice Monster,
Yeah, yeah. The
which
advice trap.
was, and you talk about the Advice Monster on your TED Talk.
Yeah,
You talk
yeah.
about the Advice Trap in the book. Um, and for those folks who don't know it, it was in some senses it was a great follow-on to the coaching habit, but it also has leaned into other aspects of life outside of coaching, I
Yeah,
think.
yeah.
And one of the things I always took from it was some really good life advice in here, particularly for long-term relationships.
Right.
And one of the habits that I certainly lean to myself, and I've noticed other men do too, is you get to a stage of like in your 50s, you have a lot of experience, you know a lot.
Yeah.
Can you be bothered waiting for people to come to their own conclusion? Like, why do you just tell them how it works?
Yeah, yeah.
Particularly at home,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
And that coincides with your young kids now being 19 and 20 who are less inclined to listen
I know.
to your profound wisdom.
I don't have kids, but I can apparently that's what happens to
Apparently it
teenagers.
is. I've
Yeah.
noticed.
Apparently
Yes,
teenagers are biologically designed to resist all advice.
indeed.
Yeah.
Particularly from their old man.
Yeah.
What's your sense of the notion of the advice trap and giving advice, and how do you pause to think about that differently?
Advice test is almost never as good as you think it is. That's a starting point. It's like it's just never as good as you think it is. Not least because, in 2025, it's easier to get good advice from a computer than it's ever been.
Yeah,
Like,
yeah,
advice is so cheap, so obvious, so findable
yeah.
that you going, look, the thing that's most valuable about me is my advice is, I think, diluted. it's the 10-year anniversary of the coaching habit next year, so we're putting out a hard copy of the book. It's amazing. It's got a little graphic novel experience through it, which I'm really excited about. But I've written an extra chapter at the end, which is about the being of coaching.
Okay.
Because the coaching habit, as it is kind of the doing of coaching. Here are
Yeah.
7 great questions. Here's how you ask a question well.
Yeah.
But there's a deeper impact that I think showing up more coach-like, which for me means can you stay curious a little bit longer? Can you rush to action and advice giving a little bit more slowly? There's a deeper impact in that, which is like people want to be seen and they want to be heard and they want to be encouraged. Seen and heard and encouraged. And it's remarkable how little you need to do for that impact to be felt. And you don't even have to ask a whole lot of questions. You don't have to give advice. You just have to kind of be present with that other person. And that impact can be felt. I mean, you and I had dinner with some people last night, and I was talking to one of them, and they were talking about trying to coach their teenage child.
Right.
And they're like, damn it. It's like they keep resisting the coaching that I'm trying to do. And, I'm not sure this is the truth, but it felt to me that for them, their coaching was, look, I am trying to help my kid.
Yeah.
And I've learned that giving them advice directly doesn't work.
Yeah.
So now I'm going to coach them directly.
That's right.
It's like,
I was going to ask a question with my opinion in it.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Or even, because sometimes coaching is like, they ask a question, which is like, have you thought about doing this? Which of course isn't a question at all. It's just advice with a question mark tacked onto the end of it.
Yeah.
But even sometimes the act of I'm going to coach you is my job is to save you and solve this and fix this problem.
Yeah.
And of course, that's what you want to do if you're a human, and particularly if you're a parent with a kid, because you're like, that's my job, is to help my kid be okay. But um, people don't like to be processed. It's like, I don't want to be taken through your damn process. Um, but they do want to be seen and heard and encouraged. So as I was talking to this person, I was like, I don't know if this would work, but if your kid is saying something to you, just saying, man, that sounds hard. Is there anything I can do to help? That is a very generous offer.
Hmm.
Now, remember that, because they said to me, yeah, they're just like, give me more money. And I'm like, you don't have to say yes to
That's
everything
right.
that they ask for.
Yeah.
Rather than going, oh, you know what you need? You need some coaching. So allow me to coach you. You're still kind of in what Ed Schein would call the one-up position.
Mhm.
I've got the status here. I know what's best for you. I'm going to coach you now. Whereas if you go, hey, how can I help? What would be most helpful for you? Or even just like, man, that's hard. Or that's great. Or I'm so delighted about that. Or I just see how you're doing such a good job figuring that out. All of that for me is that kind of that broader sense of coaching, which is help them feel seen, help them feel heard, help them feel encouraged.
But the question still remains. You are someone who is inherently curious
Yeah,
and you have not sat back in your laurels. You remain curious.
yeah,
You
yeah,
talk about curiosity. You deliver speeches about it. You've written about it.
yeah.
How does that impact us at midlife? Like in terms of how do we stay curious as we get older? Because it's easier to not.
The way I think about it is curiosity is one of the forces that moves you forward. And the Woody Allen quote, it's like this relationship is like a shark; it has to keep moving. And what we have here is a dead shark. And I'm like, it's in some. I'm not sure if Woody Allen is. Can we quote Woody Allen
I think
anymore?
you
I
can
don't know.
quote
I like
anybody you
Woody
want.
Allen. Yeah. But there's the quote that I love about midlife, the one that resonates for me most, and I have it on my desk, is from a poem by Rilke, "The Man Watching." It's translated, and it's wonderful because it's a story of the wrestling with the angel. I'm not I'm an atheist, but that story of Jacob wrestling with the angel. And what's so wonderful about this poem by Rilke is he's like, look, the two things you need to know about wrestling with an angel. Number one, you're always going to lose. Like nobody gets to beat the angel, right? has this image of like thumbprints in your
Yeah.
shoulders,
Yeah.
which are so vivid and visceral. But the other thing you need to know is that the angel doesn't wrestle with everyone. The angel only wrestles with you if you're up to something, if you're doing something that really matters, if you're like engaging in the heft of the world. And the line that really resonates for me is like his goal is not to win.
Hmm.
His goal is to be deeply defeated by ever greater things. So partly for me, the curiosity is part of the force that makes me go, well, what are ever greater things for me? How do I stay curious about that? Because look, I'm not that interested in sliding into a comfortable middle age,
Hmm.
like playing golf. And there's probably golf players here who are like, "Damn you, golf,
That's right.
golf is harder than you think." I'm
Best
like,
thing
I
ever.
know golf is harder than you think. I'm a bad golf player,
Yeah.
but the idea of kind of that, not continuing to kind of crack yourself open to
Yeah.
figure out what's next.
Yeah.
Um,
So do you like being defeated then by ever greater things? I think the
I
idea.
want to put myself in a place where I'm going. Like I'm not totally sure how this plays out. I'm
Hmm.
not totally. I have to call on my wits. I have to step out to the edge of who I am and what I know and how I show up in the world and who I am to kind of to meet the unknown
Yeah.
there. So what it actually for me says is like it you stop worrying less about do I get am I going to get the medal and the trophy and the prize and more about how do I keep moving into the wilderness.
Is there?
And it's interesting. I mean, it's come up with some other midlife men friends I've been talking to, going, we've realized our spouses and our partners have actually we've kind of outsourced a lot of the mental load to them. We're kind of like, oh no, it's we're doing our thing, but sure, whatever you want,
Yeah.
whatever you think.
Yeah.
I don't know. What do you think we should have for dinner?
Yeah.
And um, I'm like, in some ways it comes from a good orientation, which is like, look, I'm trying not to be a dominant patriarch
Yeah.
going, my house, my rules,
Yeah.
submit to your man. But the flip side of that is becoming passive and handing the mental load of making
Yeah.
those choices
Yeah.
to them. And I think a competent daughter, people going, look, I'm assuming the mental load. And I think, one of the things that's come up recently in my conversations with my friends is like, yeah, I do that. So how do I take my share of the mental load of running a life?
My wife Carol often says, "I don't want to be the adult in every conversation,"
Exactly.
and it's a cue to me to
Yeah.
go,
Yes.
come in and
Yeah. Step up here.
step
Yeah.
up here, make a decision.
Yeah.
I
Yeah.
don't care what the decision is, just you do it.
Yeah. Yeah. It's
Yeah.
interesting.
I hope you enjoy that. Please feel free to subscribe, hit like, hit follow, whatever button's on your screen. We'd love if you sent this episode to a friend of yours. And in the meantime, don't let the old man in.